Before this video starts, let me lay some things out. For one, do not harass anyone in this video, even Raven. Harassment doesn't fix anything, and if you want to talk about it civilly, you can, but do not harass any party involved. Second thing is, everything that is said is my own opinion. What I say in this video does not reflect the opinions of the higher-ups or anyone else on the team. Thirdly, this video's main goal is to be informative. I will try my best not to bash on Raven too hard, but I will speak my piece and my truth. And sometimes, the truth hurts. Lastly, once this video is done, I am done talking about this situation on my channel. This is a one and done sort of ordeal. With that out of the way, let's start with the video. If you guys don't know, Raven, aka Corvin_03, is the owner of Faker and previous owner of Broken Face, aka 2017X. She is also the co-owner of 2011X and Lord X. Her age isn't fully confirmed, at least to my knowledge, but it's assumed she is in her early 20s. Raven directed Tripwire, Faker, Broken Face, 2011X, and Lord X in Outcome Memories. That's where her stance in Outcome Memories ends. She wasn't any higher than a contributor on the team, and anything else stated is simply false. However, since Raven co-owns 2011X and Lord X, she does hold a power dynamic between the whole team, which will be important to remember later on as the video goes on. On January 6, 2026, Raven posted to Twitter with a statement regarding the removal of 2017X and Faker. It goes as followed. The reason I saw fit to have Faker and 2017X removed from the roster is due to a consistent lack of coordination and communication, which wore heavily on me over several weeks of development on the project. After internal conflicts compounded with the pattern of pushing unpredictable content as well as hype, I had grown tired of how the team was handling their approach to the game design and cooperation. Tripwire's situation forced her to be pushed out with almost no time for real testing or any moveset feedback, and I really started to feel a stark lack of trust in their flow of development. I offered to try and craft a new roadmap for their usage, including some suggestions for new content that would mean drastically reorganizing the approach. However, they also greatly misinterpreted the majority of my criticism and feedback, once again resulting in a lack of clarity. The entire conversation about said roadmap turned into a mess, and with how often stressful situations had occurred, this was something I had little patience for anymore. I decided I wanted to contribute nothing further with the project, with the fact that the methods of communication, both within the team and to the public, have been frustrating. So I decided to pull my characters because I don't want them subject to possible mishandling in the future on such a large project. I don't want this to turn into a hardened conflict with the team. The characters are gone and it will stay that way, and I would like if that was respected. I hope the team can grow to avoid issues like I've stated happening again, as the entire series of events has been a rough patch for all sides. I'd rather just move on, not having major involvement with the project at this point outside of Tripwire. I hope you can understand this. As you can tell by Raven's statement, she wrote it only from her perspective and didn't include any issues the team had with her. So the Outcome Memories community took this and ran with the idea that all developers, higher-ups, and testers were at fault when that was not the case at all. Honestly, it really disappoints me considering the fact the community just dealt with Astra and PR situation. Where Astra stated they were leaving the team, the community blamed the devs, and it turns out Astra was the bad person. With that said, I'm hoping you can pick up what I'm putting down. Raven isn't being very truthful about her statements, and I'm here to show you how she really is behind the scenes and the problems she has caused for all the people on the team. This section of the video is the real meat and potatoes, probably the main reason why all of you are here. Several people from the team have come forward to me to say their experiences with Raven and really show you the side of her she doesn't want to be shown to the public. I would like to thank everyone who's come forward with these statements. Without you, the community wouldn't be able to see how Raven acted on the Outcome Memories team. It takes a lot of courage to come forward about things like this, especially with someone who holds so much power in the Sonic.exe community. I couldn't imagine how hard it was to keep this information to yourself for so long, and I'll make sure you are heard. After each statement, I will say my own opinions and experiences if I can relate to them. Let's get into the first one. Although I never had full communication with Raven, I'd still like to throw my input on one thing that they have said to in their reply tweets. As a tester, I would just like to note that 9 times out of 10 during any testing, Raven would never be seen at all. In the grand scheme of things, I wouldn't consider this a big deal, but you cannot claim to be an active team member and tester when you hardly showed up when we needed testing done. This is not to mention your behavior when it came to talking to us testers and other members of the dev team was extremely disrespectful. When some of us were misinformed about something and simply spoke about it, Raven acted extremely rude and dismissive towards us when the situation never called for it. At times, you'd respond to some of us about balanced suggestions and opinions, being rude there as well, having a disrespectful tone along with unnecessary profanity, rather unprofessional, might I say. From statement 1, you can already see what Raven was hiding behind her original Twitter post. She claims that Tripwire was pushed out with no time for real feedback or testing, but she never wanted to test anyways or take feedback. This is something I can also back up. I've only ever seen Raven in one testing session, and that was one time when I was playtesting Tripwire. She asked for feedback mid-game, and I told her my issues, and she was dismissive. I told her about the double jump glide being way too oppressive, and at the time, it was extremely overpowered with no cooldown or drawbacks at all. Raven's simple response to me, "It's supposed to be oppressive." Didn't explain her reasoning, only those 5 words. Mind you, this was my first interaction with Raven, and I only ever heard bad things about her, so this really didn't help her case with me. A lot of us testers would give her feedback and it would simply be ignored, or be disrespected as stated in the anonymous person's response. So we were all hanging out in Tester VC with Bonely, and he was making some silver recolors when she randomly joins and asks if some testers can join InDev, so me and another tester hop in. It was all pretty chill, although I did have to explain how Blaze's flamethrower worked and how the aiming worked, which she only responded with "doesn't work for me." Found it a little weird cause I assumed she would know how these abilities should work. Next game she leaves me for dead and just types, "Left that loser dead, lol," which again I just found weird seeing as this was our first time ever interacting. And then we reach Green Hill. She picks Metal Sonic, I pick Colossus, and the other tester picks Blaze. I kill the Blaze, and I see her jump down into the water, running away from the little slope that leads to one of the springs. I assume she's going to the other spring, but she runs right past it and runs herself into a dead end into the water and proceeded to spend the entirety of the LMS trying to climb up the wall while I just grabbed her and launched her away from it, while she made no attempt to find the springs to get out of the water. When the round ends, she leaves the game and then joins the VC, which was just a public tester VC, mind you, so a lot of us were in there. She just immediately starts complaining about Green Hill, calling it a complete dog shit map, complains saying how she preferred the old version, and basically demands to Bonely that he goes and changes the map heavily, all whilst basically shouting at him. She leaves shortly after that. Everybody was extremely uncomfortable during the whole thing, and Bonely just left and was completely demotivated by it. But yeah, she was very mad about Green Hill despite putting herself into that situation and blamed Bonely for it and demanded it gets changed when we were like a week or 2 away from release. There was also all the time she specifically asked us testers for feedback on Tripwire's state, and we gave it to her, and then nothing we said changed. Her glide speed, which we all complained about, remained the same even on release. The initial damage of the laser, which we had gotten nerfed initially, was added back despite us all agreeing and made her horrible to go up against. We also said to her that she should maybe have less mines, as 10 was a little bit excessive, but that was also not changed. Another thing in her response to the polling she put on Twitter, she said she had no time for any real testing or moveset feedback, which was completely her own fault. It was her own choice to keep Tripwire off of our panel for testing in the public because she wanted to keep Tripwire a secret. She was also kept out of InDev until like a 3 or 4 weeks until release, which didn't give us a lot of time, especially when she didn't actually listen to our feedback. She also did not listen to our opinions on other characters, the main example being Blaze. She would constantly complain about her specifically, despite the fact almost all of us testers, contributors, etc. agreeing she was in a very good spot. She would still push for her to get unnecessary changes. Tripwire would also just get random changes that would contradict the changes before. The main one I remember being her M1 damage being nerfed, and then the very next change that nerf gets reverted and then changed back again. In this statement as well, you can see how much mental damage she has put on the team with her actions. Allow me to remind all of you how old Raven is. She is in her early 20s, while a lot of these testers and higher-ups are teenagers. You'd think being an adult, you'd act like an adult, but she acts like a pampered child, thinking everything needs to go her way or else, which I think stems from being a co-owner of 2011X and LordX, while also just being popular in the community, which leads back to my point stated prior, a power dynamic. I think with this power dynamic, this led to Raven getting a massive ego problem, thinking she can say whatever she wants without apologizing because of her power in the community, which I think is unacceptable. Also stated in the statement, Raven complains about the state Tripwire was released in, but never tried to have her be tested in public, nor again listen to any of our feedback. She treats the team horribly and leaves us to bite the curb with the community when she is the one to blame. You should say that she outright ignored tester feedback when we tried to give her feedback on Tripwire despite every tester saying she was extremely overpowered. This statement is a bit shorter than the others, but highlights the problem with her and Tripwire's balancing issues. Raven never cared about feedback, and only wanted to do things her way, or only take feedback that would fit her image, I guess. Since this is short, I don't want to retread on things I've said already, but 3 statements so far I've talked about her not caring about what the team has to say. I think that should open your eyes on what kind of person she is. Am I going to get fired for this video? I'm not really sure. If I do, I think it proves all my points I've made about Raven. This video should act as a wake-up call to her and to all of you who have watched it this far. Everyone is not a saint, and will try to make themselves look good if it benefits them. Before I end this video, I want to share my own statement to Raven. To you, Raven, you need to grow up and seriously change the way that you act. This community is full of such amazing people, and with someone as much power as you need to set a good example. Lying and being a general asshole to people isn't a good look on any of us, so please change. I believe people can change to an extent, and you fit in that range. If you don't change, that's fine. Just know I don't want anything to do with you at that point. This has been ALTAZ. Thank you for watching the video, and I hope this has opened your eyes.